Well, hello, my friend. It is me, Stu, and today we are going to be talking about the business model that is thriving right now. And I want to start by just acknowledging the fact that this coronavirus has created a situation where it's forcing a lot of business owners to rethink a lot of things in terms of how they approach their business. And I'm raising my hand because I'm in this boat too. Why? Because my wife and I, we run a nonprofit. We have a charity. And the fundraising for that charity has come to a screeching halt because we had a business model that was solely dependent on live events. Well, guess what? Live events are no longer working in today's environment, right? And so we've had to rethink and reimagine how we as a charity raise money. Now, the other side of this, though, is that there are a lot of businesses who are in the same boat, right? Like brick and mortar stores, services, speaking of events, people who are hosting events. It's forced a lot of people to reimagine and rethink how they approach business. But the exciting part about this is that there is a business model that is absolutely thriving right now. And I want to encourage everybody, if you know somebody, a business owner who is in the midst of like that tricky position of like, what do I do? How do I pivot? How do I make the most of this? How can I keep my business flowing? I want you to make sure you forward this to them, share this with them. Because what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about a business model that is absolutely thriving. And I'm going to seed a whole bunch of ideas and show you just how different business owners are booming right now because of this business model. And so let's talk about it. Let's dive right in. Because at the end of the day, one of the things that we want as business owners is we want to be able to create stability in our business. And that stability not only gives us financial stability, but it gives us a lot of freedom as well, right? Like the freedom to do things that we otherwise could not do, like perhaps be able to travel. We'll talk about some of that here in a minute, or just have more time with those that matter most. Now, some people might be arguing, well, Stu, I'm over this quality time period right now, and my kids are driving me crazy. Listen, I get that. I understand that. But let's just talk about the business model. So what does the business model do that can create that freedom, create that space, and also create that stability? Well, my friends, that is the business model of a membership or subscription. And this is why we're seeing, before all of this craziness happened, so many big companies were making this transition to a membership or subscription. Companies like Apple, yes, like Amazon, of course, Netflix, duh, those are the big obvious ones. But companies like Burger King, yes, Burger King. Burger King rolled out a new subscription earlier this year where you pay $5 a month and you can go into the restaurant and you can get an unlimited amount of coffee. Now, some people might be asking, yeah, but why would they do that? Why would Burger King do that? Well, two reasons. One, it creates a steady stream of recurring revenue that creates predictability and stability in the business. Number two, it brings more people into their restaurants. Now, of course, obviously during this time, it's irrelevant right now, but they still have that recurring revenue coming in from the membership. Now, you're also seeing car companies like BMW and Nissan who are rolling out subscriptions. Why would they do that? Because in the up and down of an economy, sales of cars go up and down accordingly. And so to create that stability in the business, they're rolling out memberships. And so Nissan actually has a $700 a month membership where you could literally change the car that you're driving every single day if you wanted to. And so it's just an innovative new way to approach, in their case, selling cars. And so you're seeing big companies who are doing this, but you're also seeing all kinds of everyday companies as well who are pivoting and moving towards a membership model, like Jason C. Now, Jason, he helps women who are over 40 improve their health and lose weight. Now, the way that he had been working before was he had a business model that was dependent on launches. So he would launch a course or program and he would have some income coming in, and then that income would need to last him a certain period of time before then he'd have to launch again. And so it was always this launch model. And listen, I love launches. I think launches are absolutely something that every business owner should have in their business. However, that can be a roller coaster that does not create the stability per se, because it creates a lot of stress, because you got to build up, and those launches have got to hit. And what happens if they don't hit? Well, then it creates unnecessary pressure in the business. Now, am I saying that we should all forget about launches? No. In fact, I'm saying that every business should have launches in addition to a recurring revenue stream. And that's exactly what Jason did. So Jason rolled out his membership, and it created stability in his business for the very first time. And so what's amazing about that is that, like, for years, Jason had not left on a vacation with his family, because he literally went from one busy period to another with all of his launches. But with that stability, he had the breathing room to finally take a vacation with his family. Second story is Tanel. So Tanel is over in Estonia, and Tanel was working in a corporate job, very successful corporate job, by the way. But the problem was that his wife was experiencing postpartum depression, and he knew that he had to be home with her to help her get through this. But the corporate job was not going to give him that space to be with the one person that mattered most to him, which is his wife. So he ultimately quit his corporate job, and he launched a membership to a community of parents. And the amazing part about that is that not only has it created that stability for him to leave his corporate job and to be with his wife and to spend more time with her and, of course, his kids, but he's created this amazing community of parents who are supporting one another in their journey of parenting. And it's given Tanel the space to be able to travel with his family and kids. So they're actually in the midst of touring through all kinds of countries throughout Europe right now in an RV. And that's something that they've always wanted to do. And the great news about all of this is all of that travel and that variety and that time with each other has dramatically improved his wife's postpartum depression. Another example, Sarah Williams. So Sarah Williams has a brick and mortar retail shop. Right, so she sold like monogrammed items and art decor and things like that out of her retail shop to a local audience in Texas. Now, in the last year and a half, the amazing thing that Sarah has done is she pivoted in the sense that she also launched an online component. So I want you to wrap your head around this, because this is a brick and mortar retail shop, and yet she launched an online membership. And in the last year, she has grown that online membership from 300 members to 2,000 members. And what I love about this is that now, like, she sent me a message. She said, I am so grateful for the online membership, because she had to close her retail shop during all of this, right? And because of that, it obviously created, all kinds of conversation and concern about, like, her staff and her employees and so forth. And not only like that, but like, would she be able to keep that retail shop going? But because of the online membership, it's created more than enough that she can continue to support her employees during this time, even though the retail shop is closed. And so I'm sharing this with you because it doesn't matter what type of business you've got, because you may think, okay, well, what about like a service-based business? Well, that's why I want to share with you about Mary Claire Fredette. So Mary Claire Fredette still has a massage studio, right? So traditional brick and mortar service, massage studio. And so she too launched her online membership. And what's amazing about that is during the last year, when her husband and somebody else in her family who came down ill, she was able to take time away from the service business and spend more time with her husband and her other family member who were ill, because she had the online membership that gave her that flexibility and freedom to do that. And so it supported her during the time when she needed it most. And now, of course, during all of this, it's supporting her again. And so I'm sharing this with you because it doesn't matter what type of business you have, whether it's a product-based business, whether it is a service-based business, whether it is a knowledge-based business or a community-based business, you can do this. And you can incorporate membership into your business model to create that stability so that when times are tough and challenging, it will support you and pull you through and create that stability like never before. And when times are good, well, it amplifies all the good on the other side. And so I'm sharing this with you because I want to plant some ideas for you, because in the last little while, there have been some people who have recognized and seen the opportunity to make that slight pivot and really push through and make the most of this opportunity. Like, I want to talk about like gyms and fitness studios and yoga studios and spin classes and so forth, right? Like all of these brick and mortar studios who, in amongst this chaos, they don't have those people coming into their business anymore. So what do? What do all those trainers do? Well, I want you to take some ideas from my trainer, Dave. So you know what Dave did? He's a smart and savvy guy. He recognized that, okay, now you got all these millions of people who are at home, who once used to love going to the gym and working out. So does their love of working out and their passion for fitness end just because they're at home? No, of course not. But the situation and circumstances certainly change, right? And so Dave recognized this. Dave recognized that, oh my goodness, there's millions of people at home right now who don't have access to the equipment that they once had access to in a gym, and who still want to keep their fitness going, right? So what he did was he started providing at-home workouts, specifically body weight workouts. And he's been growing his audience through providing these workouts. It's a great pivot to be able to then use this as an opportunity to build his audience. And could he easily roll that into a membership? Absolutely. In fact, my wife and kids were watching and have been for the last week and a half. There's a gentleman, and I forget what his name is, but he's built a really popular YouTube channel in the last 10 days. It's crazy because there are over 6 million plus subscribers to his YouTube channel, and he's built it from scratch in the last 10 days. And what is he providing? At-home workouts for kids. And so I came up from the Peloton this morning, and my wife and kids are doing this workout following this guy on his YouTube channel. And so my wife, Amy, was telling me he's built like 6 million followers because he's made a pivot. He's made a slight pivot. He's recognized the opportunity. You could do the same if you are a trainer, a yoga instructor, any type of fitness instructor, dance instructor. Another one of our dear friends, her name's Amy and Clay. Their two daughters love to dance, and they belong to a dance studio. And so the dance studio owner recognized, like, okay, well, obviously, like, the girls can't come into the studio, so what can we do? So they have been sending dance choreography back to their girls, and the girls are practicing it during the day, and then they send the video onto the instructor. It's just a great way, again, to identify and recognize that there's an opportunity here and to be able to serve it in a different modality, right? Which naturally leads into an experience where people want to continue that through membership to create that stability in the business. Another idea. We talked about Sarah Williams with her retail store. And it was interesting because my family and I, right in the midst of all the chaos, we were flying back from Puerto Rico. And as soon as we landed, one of the first phone calls that my wife made was to a company that we pay on a monthly basis for a subscription. And essentially, it was a subscription. It's a subscription for fresh organic fruits and vegetables that are delivered to our door on a weekly basis. And so my wife called back up and she said, hey, I'd like to get back into the subscription because we put it on pause because we were away for 2 months. And they said, wow, we'd love to get you back into this week, but we've actually been slammed because we've had so many new clients and customers joining this subscription for the organics, fruits, and vegetables to be delivered to your door. And so here's the thing that I want you to think about. There's a massive opportunity right now to provide items that people would have been going to brick and mortar stores to buy, but providing them the convenience of having it delivered on the doorstep so they don't have to go anywhere because they can't go anywhere. And so this is a good example, like deliveries, and not only doing it on a one-off basis, but doing it on a subscription basis. I'll give you another example. My wife, in the midst of all of this, she has been loading us up to make sure that we are healthy And we've got getting lots of, fresh juices and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. And so she placed a big order for these organic fresh pressed juices. And so she ordered, I think it was like 24 bottles of this fresh pressed juice. And she said to the lady when she was ordering it, she said, "Can we make this a weekly order?" And the lady's like, "Oh, we don't do that." And I'm sitting here going like, what do you mean you don't do that? This is an opportunity. You've got customers who are asking you can we give you money on a consistent and regular basis? And so I'm sharing this with you because I am so passionate about this. Like, my friends, all we got to do is we got to make a slight pivot. We got to open our minds to the possibility of taking a one-time customer and turning that person into a recurring customer. If that juice shop had an offering of a monthly membership where, just like the organic fruits and veggies were delivered to our door every week, instead we also get the juices, we would pay for that. We would pay for that. And so there's an opportunity to make a pivot if you're a retail shop, if you're a restaurant, to think about how you can take a one-time sale and turn it into a recurring sale, just like Sarah Williams did. People used to come into her shop, and they still do, and they bought one-off items. But instead, she asked herself, how could we take a customer who's coming to the shop to buy one thing and turn that customer into somebody who buys on a recurring basis? Instead of hoping that people are going to come back into the shop, we know for sure that they are going to be spending with us every single month. That's exactly what Sarah Williams did with her subscription box. And so the other big benefit of that is it expanded her reach, because before, the retail shop obviously can only cater to a local audience. But now Sarah Williams caters to a worldwide audience, sending her subscription boxes out all over the place. So it's not just fixated on the local market. She's now serving a much bigger and wider market. So as a retail shop, could you create your own subscription box? Could you take a one-time sale, turn it into a recurring sale? Because the opportunities are there. Another example, right now in our tribe community, this is a community of people who are launching, growing, and scaling highly profitable membership sites. What I can tell you behind the scenes is that there is a boom in online memberships. People who are teaching and sharing their wisdom, their experience, the things that they already know, love, and do, but they're sharing it inside of memberships, and these memberships are booming. Like Levi Kajula. Levi was interesting because, we had a conversation, and he was saying to me that he was actually a little bit nervous to look at his sales stats, because he initially thought, okay, well, gosh, like with the whole coronavirus thing, like it's likely that my sales are going to be going down. But then his community manager, Allie, came to him and she said, we just hit a big milestone. And he's like, well, what do you mean? She said, we just crossed 7,000 members, 7,000 members who are all part of his guitar membership, his membership that teaches people how to play the guitar. So Levi said, what's going on here? So he went and he looked at the stats, and what he saw was that his sales were tripling during all of this. Why? Because for certain markets, all of those people who don't have young kids, I might add, they have more time, and they want to use that time to be productive. They don't just want to sit in front of Netflix and binge all day. They want to use that time to be productive. They want to pursue the things that they have always wanted to do but never had time for. Guitar is a perfect example. Art is another example. Emily Jeffords literally did a soft opening 2 weekends ago for her art membership. And again, this wasn't a huge, gigantic launch. It was a soft opening. She did 2 emails, 2 Instagram lives, and a few social posts, ended up welcoming 367 new members. Another example, Tamara Bennett. Tamara Bennett serves a very particular niche. She teaches people how to paint decorative door hangers. She just closed her relaunch of her membership, welcomed 420 new members for decorative door hangers. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. There's so much opportunity right now for online memberships because people want to learn. And there's never been a time when more people are online, spending more time online than right now. And then lastly, I want to share an example of Casey Hope. So Casey Hope sent me a private message 2.5 weeks ago. And she said, Stu, we just recently had to make the really tough decision to close our art studio. And she said, normally I would have been full of fear during this time. Like, how am I going to pay my employees? Like, can I even pay myself? Or will we even be able to open the art studio when all of this is done? She said, but because I have my online membership, I don't have that same level of anxiety. I know that we will be fine. I know we'll be able to pay our employees. I know I'll be able to pay myself. I know we will be able to get through this because of the online membership. Now, she has an online membership that teaches calligraphy. Now, the thing that I love about Casey is that Casey also recognized that there's a big opportunity right now because millions of parents are at home with their kids. And we have been thrust into becoming teachers. Now, I don't know if anybody watching and listening, I don't know if you watching and listening are in the same boat, but listen, it's a bit chaotic, right? Like, our work days have been, cut in half because, my wife and I essentially we kind of tag team, high five each other. And then one goes from teacher mode into work mode and the other we switch. So the work days have been cut in half. Meanwhile, we're trying to keep our kids productive. We don't want them on the socials. We don't want them on the iPads. We don't want them binge on Netflix. We want them being productive. But we're not teachers, right? This is not what we were trained to do. So for us, thinking about how to keep our kids productive and active and doing things that are nourishing their minds is a totally different ballgame. And so Casey recognized this. And so Casey saw an opportunity. Well, what if she could take her online calligraphy membership and create a kids version? What if she could take her online membership and create a kids version? She did that. You want to know the amazing thing? She just finished up her launch late last week and has already welcomed over 200 new members into her brand spanking new membership. So that means that Casey doesn't have just one membership. She now has 2 memberships that are supporting her retail business, her art studio that had to shut. And so I'm sharing this with you because this is not the only story. Think about all the teachers. And we got tons of teachers in our tribe community who traditionally have online memberships providing lesson plans for teachers. But with a slight pivot, are now providing those same lesson plans for parents. And I'm telling you, my friends, this is an amazing time to serve a totally different audience because parents right now are scrambling. Parents right now are trying to do the best with what they've got available to them. And I heard somebody say to me the other day, somebody said, yeah, but Stu, there's so many free online resources right now. And I'm sitting here saying, you're right. But have you been in the position of a parent right now? I just said our workday has been cut in half. My wife and I both have our own business, and we run a charity, a nonprofit together. So our workday's been cut in half because half the day we work now on the business, and then we high five, and then we take over as working with the kids. And so we have half the amount of time. And now we've got to also figure out programming essentially for our kids during the day. We don't have the time to sift and sort through the millions of free resources. I just want it handed to me on a platter. I just want to pay a monthly subscription for somebody to do the thinking for me, which is why people like Casey, who have just launched her new membership, are thriving because it's a fast and easy way for parents to be able to have things that their kids can work on, things that are going to nourish their mind, things that are going to keep their kids productive during the day, and it removes the thinking for the parents. So if you're in a market where there is 1,000,001 free resources, I want you to celebrate right now because people don't want to spend the time to have to sift and sort through all that stuff to figure out the few things that are going to be relevant for them. What they want is they want the convenience of it being handed to them on a platter. And so there are so many teachers who are making the shift. Readwithanna.com is Anna DiGilio, who immediately saw this as an opportunity, and she serves teachers. She provides lesson plans for teachers, but she's recognized that, oh my goodness, there are millions of parents at home who need help. And so she pivoted and is in the midst of launching a new membership for parents. I can't wait for that one as well. And I'm sitting here as a parent, I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please. Membership models are booming right now, my friends. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to camp out on this question. I want you to camp out on this question. What does this make possible? It's a great question that I learned from my good friend and former business partner, Michael Hyatt. He said, when times are challenging, when things are tough, when you're faced with adversity, to ask yourself the question, what does this make possible? And what I'm here to tell you is that it doesn't matter if you have a product-based business, a service-based business, a knowledge-based business, or a community-based business. What this makes possible is it makes possible for an opportunity to innovate. It makes possible for an opportunity to experience a breakthrough that you've never experienced before. I'll give you one other example that is not necessarily membership related, but it's to demonstrate that this makes a massive opportunity for breakthroughs that we didn't even realize were happening. So I mentioned at the beginning that one of the challenging, or one of the business models that has been challenged the most during all of this has been live events. Anybody who hosts live events, right? And listen, I've got dear friends that have businesses that are dependent on live events. You know, one of my dear friends, one of our donors for our charity, Chad Collins, he puts on these amazing events for Lego enthusiasts, and it's called Brickworks, and they're monster conventions, and all of them have been canceled. And it's like heartbreaking. And then I've got like other dear friends who host workshops and live seminars and conferences. So it's a business model that has been challenged right now. And we host live events. We host workshops. Every year we have our big live event called Tribe Live. And the people who help us host that is a company called Sage Event Management. And it's run by a husband and wife couple, Blue and Barry. Don't worry, I tease them all the time about Blueberry, but that's a whole nother story. Anyways, but they just did something this past weekend that was a smashing success. One of their other clients, Dylan, who's also a friend, was scheduled to host a in-person live event. Of course, can't happen. So they had already sold hundreds and hundreds of tickets to this thing. So they started to rethink and reimagine what that experience could look like. And I wish I could show you pictures because it was incredible. But I want you to imagine Dylan standing in front of a big screen. And then in front of him, like all these monitors of literally hundreds and hundreds of people who were all tuning in live virtually. And they recreated this amazing conference, but virtually. And here's the incredible part. They had more people attend this conference than they would have live. They had more people engage in this conference than they would have live. They had more people who were networking with each other than they would have had live. They had more people going to sponsor booths virtually than they would have live. And it became a more profitable event, the most profitable event that they've ever had, live or virtual. And so can you imagine this? Like they would never have had these kinds of breakthroughs or have been forced into thinking more differently, more creatively than ever before had this not happened. This is what it makes possible. This is why I'm sharing with you, my friends, because I am seeing it across the board. The membership model is the safest model for any type of business, no matter whether times are good or whether times are challenging. And I want to encourage you to shift your energy, to think about how you can use this time to make that slight pivot, to make that change, to experiment, to try different things. Because again, as we've gone through all the different examples, whether it be Jason Sieb with his reimagining how he wanted to deliver his health and weight loss information for women 40 plus. Before he was going from launch to launch to launch, high stress. Then he went into a membership model and it's created that stability. Or there's Tanel, who was in a corporate job and his wife was at home experiencing postpartum depression. He wanted to spend more time with her. He wanted to help her. So he quit that corporate job, launches a membership site in the parenting niche, and now has all the time in the world. In fact, as I said, he and his family are traveling in their RV throughout Europe. Or there's Sarah Williams, who has a retail shop, who is dependent on that local foot traffic. And can you imagine? Because she's had to close her local retail shop now, but thank goodness she was smart and savvy enough to also launch her online membership. And in the last year grew it from 300 members to 2,000 members. Now she's serving a worldwide audience, right? Or there's Mary Claire Fredette, who had a massage studio, was dependent on clients coming into her studio. She also launched a membership in the last year, and it's helped her in two different scenarios. Scenario one was when her husband and another family member became fatally ill, and she was able to take time away from the in-person studio and spend that time with them. Meanwhile, her online membership kept producing recurring revenue for her. And the second time was during this whole crisis, right? Where she had to close the retail or the massage studio, but yet the online membership continues to produce income. And so I'm sharing this with you, my friends, because there's a ton of opportunity to make a slight pivot. And I want you to recognize that memberships are a model that is booming right now, because there's never been a time when more people are online, and there's never been a time when people are spending more time online than right now. So I want to encourage you, my friends, make the most of this. Ask yourself that question. What does this make possible? And I want you to open yourself up to trying things and experiment with things, especially when it comes to your business model. My friends, I appreciate you and all of the comments and questions that you have left. Thank you so much. I'm going to pop on here probably a little bit later in the week, and I'm going to do a Q&A and follow up with a lot of those questions. So if you have questions, please save them. Join me later this week. I will answer as many questions as I can. You're amazing. You're awesome. Go get them. We'll talk to you soon.